Converted man here?
It's the Converted Man.
Converted man here.
Hi, and today we're going to talk about the greatest challenge that was ever made. This is such a challenge that even though it's hundreds of years old, and even though winning it can cause massive changes worldwide, no one was able to win it.
It would be a great challenge if you have the courage to accept it.
Why is it that these people seem convinced that atheists have a problem with any of their silly challenges? We've done so many of these questions atheists can't answer videos, and we never actually have found a single question that atheists cannot, answer. What they really mean is, here are questions that they don't like the answers that atheists provide, so they're just going to pretend that we can't do it at all. And it's really kind of sad, isn't it?
I want you to think of a trial. You're being sued, and if you lose a trial, you will lose everything you have. Your money, your honor, your dignity, your position, anything you can think of.
Honor.
Honor.
Oh no, not honor.
For honor!
When you're in that critical position, the complainant offers you a deal. They tell you that if you can write 2 easy sentences about your innocence, you will be saved. You will gain back everything that is at risk. Would you write those 2 sentences, or would you try other ways? And when I say other ways, I mean very difficult and risky tasks like bribing the judge and the jury, trying to assassinate the complainants. You wouldn't. And nobody would, unless writing those sentences is impossible.
If it's impossible to do, then you're not really being offered any sort of deal. If you're told that you can get off of all these charges if you write down 2 sentences that are simple, but those sentences are also impossible to write down, then they're not simple, they're impossible. Your own analogy fails.
Except absolutely everyone who even gave it a shot. I have no idea what this challenge even is, and I'm sure I'll be able to come up with an answer. I have no doubt whatsoever that I can do it. I also have no doubt that our Muslim apologist here will entirely ignore everything that any atheist actually has to say. Let's find out if I'm right.
And if you're in doubt about what we have sent down upon our servant Muhammad, then produce a surah, the like thereof, and call upon your witnesses other than Allah, if you should be truthful. Say, if mankind and the jinn gathered in order to produce the like of this Quran, they could not produce the like of it, even if they were to each other's assistants.
So here's the crux of this incoherent, quote, challenge, end quote, that is impossible to do, is the vagueness of the word like. What do you mean, like it? Do you mean exactly like it? What does that mean? How does this challenge work? Are you gonna... No, he's not gonna answer any of those questions, is he?
Quran made a challenge 1400 years ago. It claimed that the gods of the pagans at that time, or any other gods, were not truly gods. It belittled their gods and religion and claimed that there is no God but Allah. It told everyone about the afterlife and warned them about hell, and threatened everyone who chose to disbelieve by saying that if this Quran is right, they will lose their honor, their money, their loved ones, because when they die, all of that will leave them. It also threatened their reign by saying that Islam will overcome it. Then it offered them a challenge.
Anyone could write a bunch of drivel like the Quran, or the Bible, or the Enuma Elish, or the Vedas, or whatever else. Writing nonsense isn't that hard. If Tolkien can write Lord of the Rings, L. Ron Hubbard can write Scientology. You just have to find suckers stupid and gullible enough to believe it. And that's not that hard to do. Sorry if that says something not at all flattering about you.
It said, if you're in doubt, bring a surah like it. Even the way that challenge was made is proof that it can never be imitated.
No, it's proof that it's a nonsensical challenge. Because what are the guidelines that we have to go by in order to test this challenge? Who gets to decide if the competition are like the Quran? People who believe in the Quran? Well, that's hardly a fair challenge, is it? Because if you ask Christians, for instance, well, which is better, the Quran or the Bible? Guess which one is going to win? Or if you ask Hindus, their own books will invariably be judged to be superior. Or if you ask Scientologists, Dianetics will win every single time. You have to find some kind of independent arbiter, and I'm sure none of the parties involved would ever agree to that. If this is the best challenge that your silly god could come up with, a simple dick-waving contest that absolutely no one can objectively defend, then your religion is even more absurd than I thought.
And even if this was a fair challenge, or an actual challenge, which it's neither fair nor is it a challenge, that wouldn't mean anything just because nobody had overcome it yet. For example, the current world speed record is 27.5 miles per hour. That was set just briefly by Usain Bolt. So until somebody beats that speed, then lobsters are the actual real deity. All worship the lobsters, who also don't care about humans, and that explains a lot. The two have nothing to do with each other. Just because nobody has beaten that speed yet doesn't make the other things that I'm claiming true. And it might be that nobody can beat that speed, or they'll beat it just a little bit. But to say, well, nobody will ever beat it, I don't know that. There's no way to know that. So posing something as a problem and then saying, well, no one's overcome it, and therefore this is true, assumes that nobody will ever overcome it, and also assumes that that's how reality works, which it doesn't. It's like, hey, I went to the bank and I was like, hey, I have $1 million. And if you can't solve this mathematical problem, then I have $1 million. Well, you couldn't solve the mathematical problem. I guess I have $1 million.
It's like saying, come on, I don't want its true meaning from you. Let it be fabrications and lies and false tales. You will not be able to do this, so it doesn't need to be the whole Quran either. Just make 10 surahs like it. You won't be able to do this either, so just bring one surah. But that will be too much as well, so alright, make it equivalent of a short surah. Let someone who cannot read or write, like Muhammad, peace be upon him, bring a short surah forged like the Quran.
Yet, there's no way to verify that the Quran isn't lies and fabrications and superstitious nonsense in the first place, so all you're doing is pointing fingers and pretending that you are blameless. Again, this is all just an exercise in overactive egos, not any challenge that has an objectively defensible winner. And for some reason, you think this will impress anyone. Yeah, think again.
Hey, someone wrote this thing called the True Furqan, but they were literate, so I guess we have to find somebody that is illiterate to write the True Furqan. But then that thing isn't considered to be the thing that actually succeeds at this non-challenge, so I guess then we just moved the goalpost.
You will not be able to, so let that person be one of your best poets. He still won't be able to do it, so take all of your poets, every human being, and bring a short surah forged like it. You will not be able to do this either, although the need for you to do is so great, for your honor, self-respect, your dignity, the idols you believe in, your religion, your tribal honor and pride, your life and property, and your afterlife will be saved by producing the like of it.
You can make it a Dick and Jane book for children. It doesn't matter. When you get to make the rules and play judge, jury, and executioner, it's not a worthy contest to begin with. It's a sham, nothing more. This is what happens when you believe irrationally, when you start with an emotionally comforting conclusion that you're absolutely going to reach no matter what you have to do. This is not how rational people operate. You can't choose your destination and then plot your route to get there and think that somehow everything magically led you to that one spot. It's why nothing the religious do is at all impressive.
I don't think I've ever seen such a great example of circular reasoning than this so-called challenge. Hey, look, the book says that no one can do this, and you could try, but you can't do it because it says that no one can do it. Well, then it's not a challenge. Right, exactly, because no one can do it. But then how is it a challenge? Aha! You see, you try to do it, but you can't, because it says you can't do it. Exactly. It's not a challenge then. Right! Yeah, that proves it's true. What? That doesn't prove anything!
Otherwise, in this world, you will remain in abasement. Without honor, dignity, religion, pride, your lives and property will perish, and you won't have a good afterlife. They still couldn't. So instead of answering it with 2 or 3 lines, they started wars to stop our Prophet, ﷺ, tried to assassinate him, tried to poison him, etc. They couldn't answer with words, so they were forced to answer with the sword. With this, the wise Quran has challenged and silenced them not for 23 years, but for 1,400. In the 14 centuries that Quran existed, it challenged mankind with many things, and all of them are still out there for anyone who wants to refute Islam. This challenge is still out there. If anyone was to come with a book that was like the Quran, the whole Islamic world would have perished. The whole case of Islam would have been refuted.
That assumes that most of that is even real, which, again, it's up to you to back up, and you don't even seem to give it a good faith effort. This goes back to the unfortunate reality that the religious, for some reason, are convinced that everyone is just like they are. Everyone is irrational, operating on faith, concerned with a farcical afterlife, gives a damn about tribal honor or any of that crap. Well, newsflash for you, bucko. We don't. We just don't. None of that means a damn thing to us. You're living in your own little theological bubble with no clue what goes on in the real world outside. How sad is that?
Everything Muhammad, peace be upon him, stands for would have been debunked, but the challenge has been out there for 1400 years, and it will always be. Is it at all possible that while there was an easy solution like disputing it, a book which says to all the people of Mecca, if you don't believe you shall go to hell, with 1 or 2 lines and nullifying the claim, they should have chosen the most dangerous and the most difficult, the way of war.
I never did any of that. But then again, I'm not part of the religion of violence. You know, the ones responsible for the overwhelming majority of terrorist attacks on the planet. The ones with the massive body count. You know, in January of this year alone, just January, Islamic terrorists killed 263 people. That's in 1 month, and just in recognized terrorist attacks. And that's pretty much a monthly thing. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people die every year because of the asinine things that you believe. I'm really sorry that you're proud of that and that you blame others for going after your pedophile prophet. You're really missing the point.
When you subscribe to the ethics of DCT, Divine Command Theory, you put yourself in a position where your beliefs cannot be wrong because they come from God, and God can never be wrong. So there's nothing that anyone could say or write that would actually change your mind because you have God, and God is correct. That leaves the only option to be war. Either they have to capture you or they have to kill you to stop you from doing what you want to do, which is conquer everybody that's not part of your tribe. Because you're right, and it says you're right in your book. Therefore, you must be right because your book was written by God. Oh, and by the way, it says no other religion is true, so go ahead and kill all of them unless they're able to produce a book like this. And by the way, they'll try, but they can't do it, so that makes this book true. Did I mention that the book said that it's true? Now go kill those people. That's what brings war to the table, is belief in something that you cannot challenge. A belief in God, and God being unchallengeable, leads to war.
Keep in mind that the people of Mecca were really proud of their poetry. They would choose the best poems and write them in gold letters to hang them on the Great Mosque of Mecca. They would especially use gold to write those poems because poetry was the thing in that age and everyone was really into poetry. It was their YouTube, their social media, but they couldn't even match the challenge made. So they chose the way of war. But to be honest, I cannot blame them because they understood that the other way is impossible. 1400 years of history confirms this in its own way. History is our witness, and no one will be able to change that.
It's not so much the Quran silencing people, it's the bloodthirsty modern followers of the Quran that have been doing that. Now, to be fair, that's not all of them by any means because secular society simply doesn't permit it. You don't find a lot of murderous Muslims in the West, for instance. Those people almost always are transplants from places where Sharia law holds sway, and people actually take your silly book seriously. You know, places where heresy laws exist and people are executed for daring not to believe your mind poison. That also seems to be something that far too many Muslims are proud of.
Bitchspotblog has a lot more to offer on this particular video, and you can go check out his video in full in the description below. Go ahead and like it and subscribe and tell him that he's awesome, but that I'm more awesome. And then like my video more because I need more people and likes. And if you can't produce a video like this, then you're not cool and you're not true, and history will be my witness. And the only way I'll ever change my mind is for war. But then, like, you could write something that was like this video, but you can't do it. So, like, then war is bad. See, you chose war, and that proves that I'm right, because you can't make a video like this. You see, it's true because you can't make it that it's not true, and that's what I said. It's so true. It's that it's true, and you can't prove that it's not true, because I said that it's true, and that nobody can prove that it's not true. That means that it's true. You get it? No? Okay, well, there you go. And if you try to fight me, then that means I'm right. So don't try to fight me. Just accept that it's true, and I won't be changed by when you say it's not true, because it's true. By the way, did I say that it's true? And if you fight me, it's also true. If you don't fight me, it's true. And if you try to change my mind, that makes it true, because it said that you'll try to change my mind, and that makes it true because I'm true, and then the true and the true and the true. Also true. Bitchspotblog. Bitchspotblog here. Bitchspot blah 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 blah. Spot blah blah blah. Speed. I'm a lion. I'll make a good opening for him. I'm gonna include that in the video. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care anymore. Yeah.